please help yourself. There's more than enough there, so we're very, very thankful for that. I'd like to just open us up in prayer with that and then introduce Stephanie to you, okay? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. Lord, you are our great provider. And Lord, you know just what we need and when we need it. Lord, we just ask for your blessing and presence on this presentation, and Lord, that we would hear the message that you would have for us and know exactly how to go forward and apply it in our lives and in our work. Lord, that we would just see our opportunity to work as our mission field. Lord, please forgive us where we fail you. Bless this food. Bless this day and our time together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so many of you know Stephanie, and she's a dear friend of mine as well. And it's one of those things as far as, you know, you just go like, this is Stephanie. And then when you start reading the bio information, you're kind of like, wow, you know, I knew she's super special. And it's one of those things that I'm not going to miss this opportunity to read this to you and use it as my time of bragging too on her. Stephanie Ferrara is the founder of Empowered Creativity. Stephanie is a certified project management professional and spent the last 20 years in the financial services industry as a business analyst and project manager. As a business coach, Stephanie specializes in helping women business owners reconnect with their passion for business. Stephanie is committed to breaking down the barriers and the mental blocks that hold you back from your full potential in life and work. As a result of her coaching, Stephanie's clients move forward and upward, increasing their profits and their joy. I want to tell you a little bit about today's presentation. This is a description, so this ought to really get you excited about today's meeting. Okay. Are you struggling to find happiness in everyday life? Are you missing the passion for your business or your job? Are you tired of living a life without purpose? When you attend this presentation, Envision Your Future, 3 steps to creating your ideal life, you'll quickly learn the number one mistake most people make in creating their vision. An essential mindset shift that brings you joy despite your current circumstances, and the necessary steps that everyone should take to stay focused on their very vision. This special presentation by Stephanie, again, founder of the Empowered Creativity, is exactly what you've been looking for. So expect to leave here blessed. I hope you get excited and you will get the help that you need because Stephanie will deliver. Y'all, if you would, please welcome Stephanie.
So how is everybody today? Are y'all ready to I guess, test yourselves? Are you ready to test to see, are you already living your ideal life? Or are you going to realize today that you got some work to do to get there? I love this this process, and I'm excited to bring it to you. I don't know if y'all can feel it. There's definitely an excitement, like an energy in the air, just moving through the marketplace. Don't notice it. Start paying attention to it. There's so many amazing businesses, and every one of them is a desire placed in somebody's heart by God, and He's provided that vision, and through obedience, we're letting the Holy Spirit lead us to make those visions and dreams a reality. God's looking down at His children and smiling, pounding joy at our work and our obedience. It's a good thing. A new thing is happening. A powerful work, and it will change lives. You feel like you change lives within your work right now? Is what you do impacting others in a positive way? God's planted these dreams and aspirations and goals in His people across the earth. Their dreams for businesses, creativity. For some, they seem pretty far-fetched, impossible even. But God, He can do anything. He's rekindling that fire and that passion that we've had maybe when we were young. These things look like just things that we've always been interested in, things we've been good at, but never really found a place to use them. They're just things we love to do. They're gifts from God. They're from him to be used by you to not only bless others, but to also support yourself financially. Why not? He wants to bless you. He's given you these gifts for a purpose. And he doesn't want you to be wasting away doing a job that you don't love. Because he wants you to have joy in your life. It takes money to grow ministries. And it takes business owners to step up. And it takes employees in those businesses to earn money that they can then give to ministries and give to causes that tug at their hearts. That's how we change lives around the world. But we also change lives right there in our workplace. No matter what it is that we're doing, we have an impact in the circle of people around us. You don't have to evangelize from the office to make your business your ministry. But you can impact the lives of your customers and employees by the actions that you take, the decisions that you make, and the way that you serve them. Receive the blessings of these dreams and visions for the future. The dreams are for you. And you. And you. To give you a hope and a direction. But don't be discouraged by the time that it takes for them to be fulfilled. Sometimes it doesn't come as quickly as we want it to. But just be diligent in your work day by day, being obedient to what God says, this is what's important today. Do this today. And as you're obedient to that, you're taking steps, one day at a time, towards that vision, towards that dream. And it will happen, as God said it would. Bless others with the gifts that you have been given. They're not random. He chose them just for you. And he'll show you how to use them. You just listen. Have you set goals, had big dreams, plans for your future? I remember when I was a kid, always putting together in some kind of notebook, cutting stuff out of magazine, things that I wanted. It's like I started making vision boards really early on. By high school, they were really centered around wedding dresses I liked, vacation places I wanted to go to, things like that. So, little goals, right? By a show of hands, how many of you have goals in your business or your job? Are they written down? Most of the time we do that at work. Sometimes it's because our boss said, hey, we're going to meet, we're going to make goals, we're going to write them down. And in 6 months, we're going to get together and we're going to go over them and we're going to see if you've met them, right? Now, by a show of hands, and keep them up this time. How many of you have goals in your life, for your personal life? Okay. Keep it up if you have them written down. Not as many. About half of you had them, and then about half of the hands went down and written down. And that's the number one. Number one mistake is not writing them down. I guess number one is not having them. Probably number two is not writing them down. If you don't have them, then that's not good either. So today, we're going to focus on writing them down. And we're going to have fun along the way. It'll be cool. I'm sure you've heard it, that it's more likely to happen if it's written down, right? We've heard it over and over and over again in different leadership trainings. The likelihood increases that your goals will happen if you write them down. It increases even further if you share it with somebody else. If you take that thing, it's just inside, I want to do this. I've written it down in my journal and nobody gets to see that. But then when you take that to a friend or a coworker and say, this is what I really want, there's power that happens there. Something changes when you share that. Those different goals can come in many, many, many forms. It could be eating healthy, spending more intentional time with your spouse, family, building a business you're passionate about, and even taking your dream vacation. Today, I want you to allow yourself to be a little selfish. Just like when you go to the movies, and you watch some big action flick, I want you to suspend disbelief that what you're dreaming about is impossible. So just set any doubt aside. You're going to step out of your current circumstances, current situations, and you're going to dream about your best life, your ideal life. So I spent 20 years in my corporate career as a project manager in the financial services industry. I worked in banking and I worked in insurance. I did about half that time on systems-related, back-end systems-related projects, and the other half on web development type projects. I was paid well. It was high stress, but I actually kind of liked that pace. I loved that every day was different. There was no day that I walked in that what I had on my calendar was actually was going to happen. There was no day that I went in expecting that we're going to make this decision or we're going to do this today, we're going to finish this today. It never happened that way. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I was good at what I did, and people appreciated it. They recognized me for it. They appreciated my hard work and my dedication. But something shifted inside me around 2014. I had rededicated my life to Jesus a couple of years before, and as my relationship with Jesus grew, the way that I prayed totally changed. And I knew that there had to be something more than just go into work every day. Even though I loved my job, there had to be something more to it. And as I began to pray differently, God started moving me in different directions outside of work. I hosted 2 Arkansas Days of Prayer. I served as the social media director for a gubernatorial campaign. Didn't win, but it's okay. I volunteered in the clothes closet for several years at the Dream Center. That was awesome. These were all really good and fulfilling things. And again, in all of those, it kept everything different. And I had something to pursue and something to do outside of work that was fulfilling. And I realized that at work, personal ambition had creeped in, and I wasn't focused on serving in the same way at work that I was outside of work. I was really focused on me, my title, on promotion. Year after year, I talked to my boss about how do I get to that next step? And we put a plan in place, and that next year would come up, and I'm like, okay, I did all of that. How do I get to that next step? And we put a plan in place. And I started getting jealous, oh, so jealous, of everybody around me that I was seeing getting promoted. Some of them totally deserved it. Some of them I wasn't quite sure. I found that jealousy, it was taking over me bad. So jealous. Well, I sat there stagnant in that same position year after year. And I'd talk to my husband and he'd be like, what's wrong? You love your job. Be happy, they pay you well. Yeah, there's gotta be more, right? Next level, that next level. I was focusing on the wrong prize. I was focusing on the wrong purpose. I was focusing on money and recognition, not on how well I served those around me. And that was the big difference. My jealousy seemed to be targeted mostly at one coworker, who eventually became my boss. And that was kind of hard when he became my boss. But then I realized that I'd done a lot of work in him as he worked his way up the ranks, and he actually was a really good boss. But we used to butt heads so bad. He was the one, I was the project manager, and he was the one who had the resources. That was never a good picture in an executive meeting where I needed more people and he didn't have them to give me. Or, as I interpret it, wasn't willing to. So it really was hurting me because I watched him get promoted. And it really, that turning point for me was one day as I was about to start a project status meeting, and he walks in with one of our EVPs, and the EVP comes in. I'm so excited to announce he's just been promoted to director. And I know that there's no way that the anger on my face was hidden. Because I know my face was bright red. And I had to sit there and say, my meeting, try to find a way to bring my blood pressure down. And then I left that meeting angry. Why did he get promoted again? This was like the 4th or 5th promotion, it seemed like, in like 3 years. I prayed, but it was an angry prayer. And I said, God, why him and not me? I've been here just as long. I've been doing the same things. I've been doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why him and not me? God's answer wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, though it made total sense. He told me that if I were to get the promotion, I would have more responsibility, it would take more time, right? I'd spend more hours working. Made sense, it's a promotion. But then he told me, you get that promotion, you don't have the time outside of work to do the things for me that you've been doing. And it made so much sense. It took a little time, it wasn't immediate, but I was able to let go of that jealousy. And as I was able to be content in the position that I was in because it did allow me freedom to take a little longer lunch, or to leave a little early to come here and minister with somebody, or to leave my computer at work, not think about it at all until the next day. And I became grateful for that. And I started praying on my way into work. Thank you, God, for allowing me to have this job that supports me, that gives me freedom to do the things I want to do. I know I still had that there was still more. So I just started looking at my job as a training ground. That 20 years I'd spent as a project manager in different companies, I was just in training. So I decided to be patient. And when I gave that up, and I asked for forgiveness for my jealousy, I still gave all that 100% at work. I didn't slack off at work. I just became content. And what was really kind of cool is that by the next year, in June 2015, in a moment of worship in the sanctuary over there, I'd been praying about, should I do this? Should I do that? Am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? Is this a distraction? Am I supposed to, what am I let go? What am I doing? What is my purpose, right? What is my purpose? And in that moment, I heard these words in my head. Your calling is to build women up using their God-given gifts so that they will be empowered to pursue their dreams or learn to dream again. This will be accomplished through your business and ministry. The two are one and the same. Both will build women up through Christ. At the time, I was still working full-time, so that wasn't my business, somebody else's business. I had a side business in network marketing, probably my 6th or 8th one. I knew I was supposed to be in business for myself at some point. I had to write that down because I was also helping to start a different women's ministry. I was trying to figure out if it's business and ministry and both are the same, then how do I incorporate those things? And that's when he really started to show me. At work, one, don't be afraid to say, hey, I was praying about something. But I didn't have to evangelize to anybody. I just had to be me, and I had to honor God through my actions, my decisions. If it came to delivering hard news, I just had to deliver the hard news. But I'd be praying on my way into the meeting, saying, give me the words, and help me say it right, and help me find a solution. As I'm walking there, help me find, and this is what I think we can do about it. Because the executives don't want to hear just that there's a problem, they want to hear that there's a solution that you have in mind. What was pretty cool is that same summer, I was working from home one week, and God planted a desire in my heart about prayer ministry and about being a business coach. Because I now had this vision that I continued to pray, how do I carry that out? How do I meld these two? What am I supposed to be doing? And I remember that summer, Tom's probably going to nod his head again, when these thoughts come, like flip chart paper goes all over the living room walls, and I've got my markers out and I start writing everywhere, and they're up for months. Sorry. This particular week, like every day, God gave me something else to put in there. And he gave me this whole business plan for business coaching. I had no idea what a life coach or a business coach was, so I had to go Google, what is it? And so I took that time and I did that. But I knew it wasn't for now. There was something in me that said, okay, one day, but I can't do that now because I'm not going to just quit my job. And what it turned out to be was that before I could move forward into that, because it was God's desire in me, I had to have that. He put that in me. Before I could move into that, I had some other perspectives in my life that had to change, not just the jealousy issue. The right time for me to be still enough for him to do that came in March of 2017, when I was mauled by a dog in my neighbor's backyard. During the attack, the dog broke my right arm and removed some muscle from a few places in my left arm. I don't have a bicep anymore. And the damage was so extensive, the EMTs immediately called MedFlight as soon as they saw me. But thankfully, they were able to get the bleeding under control and called off the helicopter. And then they decided to strap me to this thing and put me in an ambulance that really needed shocks. And I told them that the whole way. I'm like, y'all really need new shocks in this thing. Because every little bump and everything, I felt it. I woke up after surgery with a cast to my elbow on my right arm and up to my shoulder on my left arm. And this independent, performance-driven woman could do almost nothing by herself. I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't drive. I couldn't work. I could hold a plastic fork because the metal one was too heavy. I could hold a plastic fork, so at least I could feed myself. I felt so helpless. I felt lost and defeated. All I could do for nearly 2 months was sit with both arms propped up on pillows binge watch Netflix with my mom. The time felt so wasted. I was used to getting up, doing things. From the time I woke up, staying up till 2 in the morning doing stuff, having decisions to make, hard things to do, stress. And all I could do was sit there and stare at the TV. I had no hard decisions to make, nowhere to be, and nothing to do except for physical therapy. I really didn't want to do that. That was hard. But God wasn't going to waste that time. God was determined to take what the enemy meant for harm and turn it into something good. Something great, actually. He used that time when my mind had nothing else to think about to strip me of the identity I had created for myself. The identity that was actually holding me back from his plans. Independent, in it all by myself, alone. Workaholic, aka people pleaser. And project manager, that title. I worked so hard. I took a 4-hour test for that title. Get PMP after my name. It meant a lot to me. Over the 6 months of my recovery, God showed me just how connected I was. I wasn't alone. He surrounded me with amazing family, an awesome church family. I had people showing up with dinner at my house for a month. And half of them, I didn't even realize, really knew who I was, from my perspective. Yeah, we said hi at church or whatever. I didn't really think they cared. But God showed me I was wrong. I'm not in it all by myself. God showed me I didn't have to do it all on my own. But it was okay not only to ask for help, but to need help. Needing help wasn't weak. It wasn't bad. And it's good to know your own limits. Going to bed at 10 o'clock is a pretty good idea. Because of my accident, I've been blessed with time, the time that I had been hoping for. Because of my accident, I was actually able to quit my job and pursue this business coach dream opportunity. Because of that, my life is totally different today. And to speed things up a little bit, this spring I was sitting in my car waiting for my daughter Bailey to come out from school. And as I was sitting there, probably scrolling through my phone, killing time waiting, I had this whoa, wait. I just had my new day. Way back in 2014, I had done this exercise, and now I'm actually putting it together as a workshop, not a workshop, a retreat. It was a workshop, now it's going to be a retreat. It'll be more fun that way. But I did this exercise to put together a vision of your ideal day. And I did it way back in 2014. And then I revised it kind of every year based on new experiences. At that moment, sitting in my car in the car line, I realized it just happened. But that journal entry was so cool. So I went home after having this aha moment, and I searched through. I was trying to find, when was the last time I rewrote it? When was the last time I rewrote it? I couldn't find the original one, but I did find the last one. And the last one was in December of 2016, just 3 months before my accident. And as I read it again, I was blown away by how accurate it had become. I was living it. I remember my original one didn't have as much detail, and this every year I put a little bit more detail, a little more feeling into it. And I know my original one went something like this. I woke up around 6 a.m. and got Bailey off to school. I spent the morning working on my business, and got to have lunch with a friend. We had a great time catching up. During the afternoon, I did some ministry work that picked Bailey up from school. After Bailey's gymnastics practice, we all had dinner together and then spent the evening watching TV. See, the ideal day isn't like the most fabulous, I met this celebrity, I met the president kind of day. Your ideal day is what you want to do every day. Every day. And I realized that day I had done it. I'd spent the morning working on my new business. And then I had a ministry appointment. Oh, I had lunch with a friend. And then I had a ministry appointment. And then I picked Bailey up from school. And it was boom, boom, boom. It was my ideal day. And I can't tell you how excited I was. I was like, I did it, I did it. I didn't work for it. I wasn't consciously doing all these things to make it happen. Proverbs 16:9 says, when we make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. The enemy meant to stop me in my tracks. He meant to just totally knock me out. But God used my accident for a catalyst for my calling. He also used the past 40 years of my life to prepare me, to train me for what I'm doing today. But if I was still Little Miss Independent Stephanie, not needing anybody in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I can't do this alone. I don't want to. I want help. This is fun. I want others to experience it. It's through surrendering my independence that I've been able to step into the freedom I now live in. I know it's hard to surrender control. I'm going to tell us one short story, and then we're going to get started on the fun part today. But then we're running a little long. So I have an 80-pound chocolate lab. And he loves to go for a walk. He loves to take me for a walk. He wants so bad. I mean, he gets so excited. You open the drawer and you get the leash out, and he can barely stay still long enough. And like, you just can't. You know, you're chasing him all around to try to put the leash on. And then he runs out and he's got the leash in his mouth, and he's like, come on, you're taking too long. And he's running. Well, then once he finally gets into the pace, it's his pace, not mine. So I'm getting pulled, he's choking, he's hacking, and he can't breathe. And in the end, that walk's not fun for either of us, really. He got to sniff around at some stuff, but he was choking the whole time. And I come back more worn out than energized. But we went for a walk. We can be the same way with Jesus. We want to walk out our life with him, but we want to do it at our pace, not his. We try to pull away. We try to drag Jesus along. Hurry, come on, let's go. But through it, we find nothing but struggle and suffocation because we're trying to do it our way, not his. It just never works out well. But when we surrender and let Jesus lead, we find relaxation and enjoyment. We can breathe and still move forward. And we have freedom to enjoy the walk. It's no longer a struggle. And achieving your ideal day doesn't have to be a struggle either. You can look at it as presenting what you want. If you're presenting your dream, your ideal day to God. Putting it in detail as a journal entry. Reading it frequently. Making sure it has enough in it that you can visualize it in your head as you read it. And God will set out to make it happen. It may not happen in the same order or the way that you really wanted it to. I didn't want the dog to attack me. But in the end, I'm grateful for what has come of it. So there's 3 steps. Alicia, can you pass out the sheets? So as you create your vision, you want to set aside current circumstances, current limitations, money's no object, current education and training doesn't matter, where you currently live, how you currently eat, your current weight, none of it matters. You're not bound by the restrictions of your current world when you dream. This allows you to dig deep within you and take off all barriers. Set aside all expectations of others and release your mind to hone in on your passions, your dreams, and what's really important to you. So you set aside those current affairs and you take the current state of things. And then you dream about what you really want it to be, and then you put it all into a nice, pretty package as one journal entry that you can read frequently. So what you have in front of you is this 3-step process. And we're going to take some time. I don't expect that you're going to finish this here in this setting. I hope that you don't, because I really want you to think about it. Take that time to dream. Take the time to put the detail into it. But the first step, and we'll take just a couple of minutes, you can start kind of jot down what comes to mind, just top of mind immediately. Write down in your life, what is most important to you? What is most important that you want to say, like, I always want that. That definitely stays. What do you want more of? What do you want less of? What do you want to eliminate? What do you want none of in your life anymore? And then later, take some time to really look at those things and figure out why is it important that that thing is in my life still, or that I eliminate that thing. Because having why behind it brings more power. Just take a couple of minutes and jot down the first few things that come to mind. Before we move on to the next step of dreaming about your future, I want to give you a few warnings. And they're there to remind you when you go back to this. If your vision is not specific enough, you may never really know when it has been achieved. As an example, I could say in my vision, I want to lose weight. But I know on a daily basis when I get on the scale that one day I've gained 2 pounds. And then the next day, I've lost a pound. Success! I lost weight. Right? Because my vision said all I needed to do was lose weight. Well, 1 pound. Hey, I do that like 4 times a week. Over and over, I'm successful on that one. However, the opposite, if you get just too specific, you may miss the blessing. So if your goal is, I've got to lose 30 pounds, however, you spend time and you get healthy, you start eating differently, you may look 30 pounds lighter and feel 30 pounds lighter, but having only lost 12. So what's your real goal? Is the number on the scale important, or is it how you feel and how you look in your clothes and so forth? So just be careful in how you word your vision. The other piece is to ask yourself why, and I recommend 5 times. So if you say, I want part of my ideal day includes going to the gym. Jamie, I'm going to pick on you. Okay, so I know for you, going to the gym or going to work out at some point is important to you. So you could have that as an item. What did you do during your ideal day? But I want to ask, why is it important? I want to look good in my clothes. Okay. Why is that important? And why is that important? You know, that might be enough. Okay, so at 3, we got to enough. What about you, Brad? What's one thing that you can think of immediately that you want as part of your ideal day? Okay, so he said not to have to drive from activity to activity to activity to activity. Okay, so put that in a positive. It is. Put it in a positive. What's the positive of that? Instead of I don't want to do this, I want to have more time. Why do you want more time?
So we would rather have time spending with our family doing things than just driving. Spending time with them than driving.
So why is family time important? Very good. So I say 5 because sometimes you can use that example of working out of, well, I want to work out every day because I want to lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? Because I want to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Because at the end of the day, I want to have more energy. Why do you want to have more energy? Because I want to be able to be there for my kids. So it's getting down to the root of why you want things. And that's going to give it more passion in your journaling. That's going to give it more purpose. It's going to make it more clear to you as to why it's important. So don't just go on that surface, well, I want to do this every day. And if you can't get to like a really good core reason why, maybe it's not as important as you think. So the next step is to break your waking hours down into segments of 4. So assuming that you're awake for about 16 hours, you go to bed at a reasonable time, not too early, not too late. And what do you want to do in that first 4 hours? What time do you wake up? What do you do when you wake up? What's important to be the first things that you do, the first people that you see? What's important in that first 4 hours? And then in the next 4. So let's say you get up at 6, and that's from 6 to 10. So then about 10 to 2, what do you want to be doing then? Who are you with? Are you going to lunch with friends or coworkers? Do you eat at your desk by yourself? Is that important to you to have that quiet time by yourself? Because maybe you're with a whole bunch of other people other times. What are you doing in that lunchtime time frame? And then the next third, or next 4th, that third 4-hour block. Where do you go? Who are you spending it with? What are you doing? How do you feel during that time? And then the last 4, this is right, those last few hours from dinner, going to bed. Who are you with? What are you doing? How do you feel? What's important to you in those moments? Are you doing activities with your kids or your spouse? When do you go to bed? Maybe that's something you want to change. I know for me, that was a huge change because I would stay up till 1, 2 in the morning, get up at 6:30 and start my day again, be exhausted all day. And I realized, you know what? Going to bed when Tom goes to bed is probably a good idea. 10 o'clock. Let's start heading towards bed. And I feel so much better. And all those things I thought were so important that I needed to stay up to do, they're still there the next day. And they'll get done when they need to get done. It'll be okay. Some of it for me was just giving up, that was my time when I watched my shows. Well, that can happen whenever. That's why we have DVR. We're already watching them on the DVR, so it can be a binge watch on a Saturday instead. And then the last step, and this one really takes time, put it all together in one journal entry, recounting as if you're writing it at the end of your day, putting reality to it basically. Writing it, I did this, and then I spent time doing this, and then we went here, and then it felt so good to fill in the blank. Write it in a way that you can see it in your head, like you're reading a book. You can see it. It's that visualization of it. It's powerful. Include those feelings and emotions because those are powerful too. That's what you're getting for. You're trying to get to the feeling. You'll notice when you think back to my ideal day, it was very simple. It didn't include, I make this much money. It didn't include anything about how I got there, what I did to get there. I was there. The rest comes in its own time, as far as the how and the means. But that's not the goal. The how and the means aren't the goal. Any questions? We all have about 10 more minutes before 1 o'clock, 12. Take some time at your table and maybe discuss one thing. Oh, you didn't have a question?
How was your dog when another dog attacked you?
He wasn't with me. I did have a little time at first, where when like my son or Tom would be playing with him, playing tug of war, and he'd be growling, and I'd be like, I don't like that sound. But I prayed and said, Jesus, I don't want to be afraid of my dog, so take that away from me, and now I'm okay. Yeah, he wasn't around. So at your tables, maybe take one of the things from the first section, the one I want to make sure that I keep, or I definitely want it to go, and discuss that. Why is it important to you to keep that, or that it goes from your day? And I appreciate y'all letting me talk to you.